So today I'm going to be doing the Mom Tag 2019 challenge, which is originally posted on Emily Norris's YouTube channel. Hi and welcome. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an American expat living in Denmark, and I use this channel to share some different experiences that my family has since we've moved here, some trips that we've taken. Also, I like to do sewing, so I have sewing tutorials, and then I also like to do some different vlogs about being a mom. So today I'm going to be doing the Mom Tag 2019 challenge, which is originally posted on Emily Norris's YouTube channel. I'm going to go through the same 15 questions that she posted and went through and has encouraged other mom vloggers to do on their sites. So question number 1, what is my favorite mom hack? Well, one thing that we do is that at the supper time we have this game called Points. And my kids have called it a game, I don't know, maybe because they think it's fun. But in a way, I'm just kind of commentating as they are eating. And as I'm doing that, I'm explaining how many points they get. So really, Points is just a game to get them to eat and to use table manners. And they get points from using a fork and a knife to not blowing bubbles in their milk or not using their fingers to eat. So I'll say, oh, I noticed Big Brother is using his napkin instead of his pants. Point goes to Big Brother. It really gets them to focus on eating. Our supper times don't take forever, and I realize that they do more helping, especially like cleaning up the table and things like that, because they're just kind of in the routine of doing it with this game that I don't have to ask them so much. So that's what I use. That's my mom hack. Number 2, what is my most embarrassing mom moment? Well, I don't really get embarrassed so much. I don't know, that's maybe just my personality. But I would have to say that I kind of have this impatient type of switch that gets flipped kind of all of a sudden. And I kind of blurt out things, or, you know, it's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of switch. And yeah, it can be kind of embarrassing at times. I don't let it live within me and fester all the time. I'm not always thinking about it, but sometimes it's in the back of my head like, oh, remember how you completely lost it at the grocery store? I don't know about embarrassing, but maybe when we first moved to Denmark, it was really difficult to kind of know what I was doing, and I was very insecure, and I didn't really know what any of the signs meant. I couldn't read labels. I didn't really know what I was buying. It was hard finding anything in the grocery store. Meanwhile, you have these 2 kids who want to play and run and whatever else, and I'm trying to pay attention to them, and I'm trying to focus, and it was a nightmare. And then, of course, you'd have somebody say, I have to go to the bathroom, and then you'd have to just kind of get up and leave. And I couldn't ask them in Danish if my kid could use the bathroom or anything, so it was just really kind of awkward. So there were those moments when we first moved here that was probably, you know, labeled as the crazy American. But yeah, what are you gonna do? There have been moments since then, and I've lived here now a few years, so it's like, what's my excuse? But that's just me. I think, yeah. I think maybe that's something I need to work on. Okay, number 3, what is part of the day that you love? I love any moment where I can just kind of sit and relax with my kids. Sometimes it's right when we come home from school, they've had a snack, maybe they want to cuddle on the couch a little bit. It can be maybe a weekend night when we have a movie night and then we're all kind of cuddling in the chair. But I also like reading to my children, so maybe it's during a homework time or just before bed when we're reading with each other, or we're kind of, I don't know, just a little one-on-one time. Number 4 is, what is the worst part of the day? Well, for me, I'd say that's kind of in the nighttime. And what I mean by that is that sometimes we have activities where we're getting home at like 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock is normally when we eat supper. So it can be a lot all at once, and I don't like to be rushed. That's just me. So I might have like this, I don't know, cranky, crazy lady take over where I'm just like, no, everybody do what you need to do so we can eat and, I don't know, relax. And yeah, so if we have activities at night where we're rushing to get home to eat supper and get a shower and get our nightly routine going, that's probably the worst part for me. Number 5 is, what is the worst thing that someone said to you when you were pregnant? I would have to say that it was what somebody said when I wasn't pregnant. When it was maybe a week or two, maybe a week after I had my younger son, and I went to the grocery store. And I was still a little big, you know. It takes 9 months to create this body where you're going to be housing this child. It doesn't suck back in and you go back to normal right away. It takes a lot of time. And evidently the boy at the grocery store didn't know this, and I say boy because he was pretty young, and so I don't really get offended by something that he said. He probably has no experience being around pregnant women or women who just had a baby. And he asked me when my baby was due, and I said, well, I just had my baby. And he was like, eh. So yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe that's the worst thing. Number 6, what was a baby name that you disagreed on? So my husband and I, well, we went back and forth with some boy names, and we have 2 boys, so boy names are important. But his big pick for a baby name was Vladimir, which I don't understand. To me, that's kind of like an Eastern European Russian type name, and we are not Eastern European Russian people, so I just felt like it wasn't a good match. And so I really didn't think it was a good choice for our children, you know, either of them, because I think he brought it up another time with baby number 2. I like the names Henry and Thomas, but he didn't. So yeah, so there you go. Question number 7, do you co-sleep? When they were babies, they were in a bassinet next to our bed. They were never really in our bed with us. I was always afraid that I would smush them. We do lay down with our children at night before they go to bed and read them a book and sing them a song and maybe talk a little bit. And we usually spend time in their room until they fall asleep. And we still do that. I think my husband is trying to get away from that, but I know that they're not going to be little forever. And I really do cherish that time. So I'll be always doing that until they tell me to go away. But co-sleeping, you know, our older son, he has no problem with going to bed by himself. But my younger son, I don't know, he kind of fluctuates back and forth between he's fine, and then there's times when he wants someone to sleep in his bed, so he'll come in at the middle of the night, or he'll come into our room. But we don't ever initiate the co-sleeping. It's always you need to sleep in your own room. We want him to kind of get used to that. We want him to be independent, but that's just how we are. But there are quite a few nights when, you know, somebody ends up coming into our room. So number 8, what is a product you bought for your child but you never used? It seemed that we tried to put to use everything that we bought, you know, or we waited to buy something because we really had a need for it. But I'd have to say that with my older son, I really wanted to do cloth diapers. And so I went to the store and I bought the cloth diapers. But man, that little guy peed through everything. And so it was really difficult for me to keep going with the cloth diapers, even though I really wanted to. But I can't tell you, whatever we tried, it just would not be enough. So I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to use, but it was just kind of one thing that I really wished would have worked out a little bit better, but it didn't. Number 9, what are 3 hospital bag must-haves? Again, it's been a while since I've had kids, but I can remember back to that time of the 3 things, and I'm going to give you 3 things that I think were a must-have for me, and then I'll give you 3 things that I think are a must-have for the baby. One that was a definite must-have was lotion. I was so dry in the hospital, I can't even tell you. It was just so uncomfortable how itchy and dry my skin was. So bringing your own lotion from home that you really enjoy. Yes, we got lotion. I had my children in the US. We got lotion in kind of like a little kit when we had the children. We could use the baby lotion, but I wanted my own lotion, and so that's number one. And number two, I went out and bought these, like, okay, no disrespect, but I call them grandma pajamas because my grandma had a pair of pajamas like them, so that's why I call them that. But they were really kind of big, and then they had a few buttons here. So it was really kind of practical when I wanted to breastfeed because I could just undo the buttons. And the buttons only went, you know, down to your stomach kind of thing, not all the way down. But it was kind of a really big, billowy kind of pajamas, and I was really happy for those. The third thing that I am really glad that I took with me is these really warm socks. I don't know what it is about hospitals, but I think it's just you want to feel comfortable. So maybe these three things aren't something that you feel all that important, but find something that's going to make you feel warm and feel comfortable because you are going to be staying. Baby, I stayed there for a couple of days. I know in Denmark when you have a baby, they pretty much, you have it in the morning, you go home at night, so it's very different what you would take with you to the hospital. The three must-haves I would say for a baby, most definitely extra onesies. My younger son had like a reflux the entire night, that first night that he was born at night, and he constantly was throwing up all of this fluid. And I can't tell you how many different changes of clothing that we went through. All that was in his little cupboard at the hospital and all that we had brought with us. So you might not have a child like this. My older son was not like this. But I think it's really important to have extra onesies, for one. For two, I think it's also important to have a nice warm blanket. They have all these things in the hospital, but again, you know, maybe it's something that you've washed already at home, and it's something that you want to give to your child. I think it's nice that when you're breastfeeding and when you're holding them in the hospital, I don't know, I like to have a little bit of something from home. And the third thing I think is kind of a must-have for babies when you go to the hospital is actually those little mittens that they wear, so they don't scratch themselves. I don't know why, but my younger son came out with really sharp nails, so I think that was really helpful because he had all these little scratches on his face right at the beginning, and I think that would have been nice to avoid that. Number 10, are you a routine mom, a go with the flow mom, and what is your nightly routine? I'm definitely a routine mom. I like structure, and I think it's important for my children to have that sense of routine because sometimes they don't transition very well and they need to have kind of like a mental support of, hey, we're going to be doing this, or let's do this. So the routine is really important, and what do? We tend to have supper every night at 6. After that, they have showers, and then we maybe have a little bit of playtime, or we have time where they go to bed and we read for a while, and then they go to sleep, and then we leave the rooms after they've fallen asleep. Number 11, I know I'm kind of laughing about this again because my children are a little bit older. But number 11 is, what kind of labor did you have, and what kind of pain medications did you use? Well, for baby number 1, I was induced. I went into the hospital, which I thought was just for a checkup, but then they said, we're going to induce you and have a baby today. And I thought, okay. We were planning our weekend, so there was a bit of a surprise. But it was 6 hours in total from the time that I was induced until the time that we met my little son. And it was very painful because I had sciatic nerve issues, and I was strapped to a machine, so I was not allowed to leave the bed, and so I was on my back in this pain, and it was just horrible. I was on oxygen, obviously, because it was just massive pain for you know, 6 hours. Some people say, oh, 6 hours, but it was 6 hours of really intense stuff. I don't know. I mean, I was in labor longer for my other son and it was bearable, but this was just really bad. And then I had asked for an epidural, but for whatever reason, I don't know, it took them too long to get to me. And so it ended up being that what I got was a narcotic spinal block, but it kind of just took pressure off, but it didn't take any pain away. So I don't really know if that's pain management. With baby number 2, it was pretty natural, and they were both natural births. I woke up, I felt contractions, I waited a little bit, and then we went to the hospital, went through the whole, very, very normal. It was, I think, a total of 12 hours. Yeah, I sat on the ball, I did my Lamaze, my husband gave me back massages, and I chose, like a crazy person, I chose not to have any pain medication with baby number 2, whose head was in the 99th percentile. Little did I know, may have made a different choice. And yeah, I'd say it was bearable because I really was mentally psyched for this. It was like I was going into some type of Super Bowl, like, you know, I was ready. But then once he came out, it was just, my body was in complete shock. I was like in a car accident. It was not good. And for whatever reason, there was a communication gap, maybe because I was laying there lifeless, between me and my doctor, and I didn't get pain medication for quite a long time. And yeah, that was not good. So, so there you go. Those are my different birth stories, I guess. Number 12 is, have you ever been mom shamed? Well, first off, I should say that I have mom shamed, and I'm not very proud of it. I know that after I had my children, I went through postpartum depression. I didn't know it at the time. I had such a strong connection, and I had a lot of anxiety when kind of anybody came around and did other things with my children. I felt anxiety if I wasn't in complete control. What I did for a mom, I just felt like everybody should have been doing, and it wasn't the nice thing to do, is to say, oh, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that because I am. So if I want to give like a specific example, I mean, I think it happens all the time, but I have a family member who I had mentioned something about, you know, my son falling asleep in the car, you know, and she had said that babies should be home and sleeping in their bed during nap times, and she just kind of made me feel really bad. And that's always like the thought in the back of my mind, is that your baby should be home. You shouldn't be off to the grocery store. If that baby wants to go to sleep, you should be home. And yeah, so for mom shaming, that was one that really got to me. I think it's important for us to kind of support each other, really. I mean, no one knows your child better than you do, and I'm sure you're going to be doing the best you can. Number 13, what have been some of the biggest challenges of being a mom? And I think when you look at Emily Norris's channel, she's talking mostly about it kind of as being a new mom. So at first, I think some of the challenges are that, you know, when I brought home baby number 2, I thought I could handle it. Again, you know, this idea of control, and I have to, you know, be number 1 in the lives of my children. And my body actually went into shock because I was not resting at all, because I wanted to take care of my toddler and take care of my baby. And I mean, I couldn't get my body warm enough. I had all these blankets on and sweaters and sweatshirts, and my body was just like shutting down. It was not a good experience. So I think it's really important for new mothers to lean on other people, other mothers they know, their mother, family members, their husband, anyone else who's around. It's really important to create a community and not feel that you're the one who has to be in charge all the time. So I think like the hormonal changes, you know, the fact that women go through postpartum, I think that was really difficult for me. And dealing with my anxiety and my hormones, I have still had problems with it, even though my children are a little bit older. So when you're talking about challenges of being a mother, I think it's really important to find other mothers that you can be in support with. I know for me, being an expat and living in another country, I tend to become friends with other internationals with children, you know, and we share our experiences, and I think that is very important. So it's a challenge if you take all of this on yourself and you don't share it with other people. So I think it's more important that you look at this as kind of a growing experience and learn from other people. Number 14, what is the best advice you have been given for being a mom, and what can you pass on to other moms? Well, I think this is the tried and true that probably a lot of other people could say that they agree with, is that you sleep when the baby sleeps. And again, like I said, that when I brought home baby number 2, my body went into shock because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't resting, and it's so important that you get rest. It's just something you can't avoid. So get as much rest as you possibly can. So what I would say that I could pass on to other mothers is have patience, take time to enjoy the little things. They're not going to be this size forever. And know that you know your child better than anybody else. So if you want to share your experience with other people, I would really encourage you to do that. But don't be looking for them to have all of the answers. Other women, please, when someone asks for your advice, to say, you know, I can only tell you my own experience. That's the whole thing that I have with my channel and my blog, is that I can only tell you about my experiences. I can't tell you anything about your child, and that's something that really you have to trust in yourself enough that you have that strong connection and you'll make the right decisions. Number 15, last question, is who is your mom crush? That is such a weird question. I'm just really uncomfortable with this question. So I don't want to skip it because I know the importance of it. You want to be shouting out to other vloggers, other YouTube moms who are putting out messages. Well, I am going to shout out my friend Jovie from Jovie's Home. So check out her YouTube channel. It is in the description, because she is the one who inspired me to make this video. She is also an American expat living in Europe, and so I feel a little bit of connection with her anyways, because we have a very similar situation of you know, being away from family and making a place that is very different from what we are used to, our new home. And I really am interested to know some of your answers to these questions. So if you'd like to post some of your comments down below, I'd love to read them. Also, this is a challenge. So if you have your own YouTube channel, tag me in your video. Please let me be your inspiration. And let's just pass this on and see what else we can learn from each other. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. See you soon.